how to choose the right woman. Because when a man really gets serious about life, about vision, about where he's going. Hold on one second. And when a man really gets serious about where he's going and what he's trying to accomplish in life, he then simultaneously becomes very serious about who his mate is going to be. And the challenge, this is just a conversation, man to man. The challenge is this: he rarely considers the fact that he has been programmed to choose women based on superficial impulses, things like looks, things like, beauty, things like body, things like, just superficial things. And then he grows up and he realizes, I need a wife. But if nobody communicates with him, if nobody talks to him or teaches him, he will then make a decision for a wife based on those boyish tendencies, not realizing that just like his perspective has shifted and his realization, or the realization that he needs something more, is shifted, his criteria for a would-be spouse or wife has to change as well. But if nobody tells him, he will then he'll try to apply the same standards for girlfriends, one-night stands, side chicks. He'll try to apply those standards to choosing a wife. And consequently, he will choose a woman that may satisfy superficial needs, well, maybe not even needs, but superficial desires, but he will miss all of the qualities that are necessary for, that would produce a wife. And so I want to kind of deal with that today, because there are a lot of young men and even older men that are choosing the wrong women. Just like I talk a lot of times about women choosing the wrong men, we have as many, per capita, I suppose, men, good men that are choosing the wrong women. And in Proverbs 31, where we find the record of the, what you call her, what's the lady's name? What we call the woman of Proverbs 31?
Virtuous woman.
The virtuous woman. Thank you, honey. But we find the record of the virtuous woman. You may not realize it, but it is also a blueprint for a man to choose the right woman. The virtuous woman is really a blueprint for a king to search out a queen. Because when you look at the beginning of Proverbs 31, you have a queen that's teaching her young son, the prince, what he should do and shouldn't do, and what kind of qualities he should look for in a would-be spouse. So the virtuous woman of Proverbs 31 is a layout of the qualities, of many of the qualities that should be in the character of a woman that would be a king's queen. And if you look there, we'll take up probably at verse, well, let's look at verse 10. Starting at verse 10, it says, "Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies." Now, the first thing you glean from this, verse 10, as a man, relative to the woman that would be your queen, your spouse, your wife, whatever you want to call her, is that she's not going to come cheap. She's going to cost you something. she's going to cost you something. And that doesn't necessarily mean that, she's going to cost you something in terms of dollars. And it does mean that at the same time, because any woman that would be your wife should also be worthy of whatever resources you have. But beyond that, deeper than that, greater than that, the woman that would be your wife, a woman that is wifey material, is always going to put a demand on you. She's not a woman that she's not a woman that you can get away with and just do anything you want to do and it costs you nothing. You're going to have to change some things. You're going to have to give some things up. You're going to have to rearrange some things. For the woman that would be your wife, he says, the word says, who can find a virtuous woman? For a price is far above rubies. She's going to cost you something. A wife is always a high maintenance relationship. And I don't mean that in the sense of she goes to the mall and she runs up credit cards like somebody's crazy. I don't mean that. But a wife always calls for a man to present his best and to give his best. Watch this. Here's even a better word. To make his greatest investment. The difference between your wife and the women that you've been, toying with all of your life when you were a young, foolish young man, and now you're at a place where you're mature and you realize what you need is that the woman that would be your wife is going to demand that you make your greatest investment. She's going to cost you something. Her price, she doesn't come cheaply. You're not going to get her for free. Her price is far above rubies. And then he goes on to say, the heart of her husband does safely trust in her, so that she shall have no need of spoil, or that he shall have no need of spoil. She's going to be a woman that you can rely on. She's going to be a woman that you can bank on. She's going to be a woman that you can trust. If you have a woman that you cannot trust, either there's something fundamentally wrong with her or there's something fundamentally wrong with you, because either she's not the one for you or you're not the one for her, because any would-be marriage is based on trust. And the Bible says the woman that would be the queen to the king is one that the king's heart can safely trust in her. She'll never disappoint you. Now, there are a lot of brothers that are watching this right now who have, sadly, but you've released, women that are the woman that you could really trust in, pursuing a woman of another caliber. And now you got what you wanted, but you realize you don't need what you got. And what you gave up is what you really needed. A man has to have a woman that he can trust in. He has to be able to put his heart on the line and know that he can trust the woman of his choice. Then it goes on to say, and I can't go through all of them. If you just take your time and read through it and meditate on it, it will bless you. It says she will do him good, not evil, all the days of her life. Her heart, he can put his trust in her. She will do him good and not evil all the days, watch this, of her life. She will never do him ill. Wow. Do you have a woman that's doing you good? Or is this woman, the woman that you have now, you haven't even married her, is she subtracting from you? Is she destroying you in certain areas? Is she, he said, the Bible says she will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. Let me jump through. She seeketh, verse 13, she seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She's a woman that will get her hands dirty. She's not so bougie and so what's the word I'm looking for? She's not so above this and that. She's not so entitled that she can't get her hands dirty. She is like, verse 14, the merchant ships. She bringeth her food from afar. 15 says, she riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household. She's not a lazy woman. There's nothing worse than being a king with a vision and having a lazy woman. How can a person, the Bible says in Genesis that God created Eve because Adam needed help. How can a person help you if they're lazy? No man needs, no visionary man. Now, if you're a lazy man, it might be a great match to have a lazy woman. But no visionary man needs a lazy woman. It says she riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household. She takes care of her family. And a portion to her maidens. 16 says, she considereth a field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands, she planteth a vineyard. There she is again, working with her hands. But look what the Bible says. She considereth a field and she buys it. This woman has even business acumen. She can make business decisions. She doesn't need, now that's an important thing right there. So many times as men, and this is the Manhood Academy, we're intimidated by strong women. But a king needs a queen. And what is a queen? A queen is nothing but a king in a dress. A queen is nothing but a king in female gender. She has the same tendencies. She has the same capacity to rule and to reign. But a king cannot be intimidated by the queen's ability. The Bible says she considers a field and she buys it. Now, this woman, we're going to see that she has a very important and powerful husband. But at the same time, she's free to make business decisions. Now, I believe her husband is trusting her to make business decisions because his heart can safely trust in her. He can trust her judgment. He can trust her character. He can trust her choices because he's chosen the right woman. So 16 says she considers a field and she buys it. And with the fruit of her hand, she planted a vineyard with her own hands. She doesn't only buy the field, but she makes the field flourish. She makes the field prosperous with her own hands. 17 says, she girdeth her loins with strength and strengtheneth her arms. The right woman is a strong woman. She's strong emotionally. She's strong spiritually. She's a strong woman. She may not necessarily be the strongest physically, but emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, she's a strong woman. She's not a weak woman. She's not a woman that's intimidated. Because if a woman is going to qualify, if you're a king, if you're a man that's maximizing and dominating in life, that qualifies you to be a king. If you're a king, the last thing you need is a woman that's weak and overly emotional and intimidated. The woman you need has to be a strong woman. When the winds of life begin to blow and adversity arises, she has to be a woman that can hold you down, without breaking. Because sometimes as men, listen to me now, sometimes as men, we have to retreat from the world and we have to return into the safety of our own cave where our women live. And our women sometimes have to be the ones that nurse us back to strength when the world doesn't even realize that we're broken. So your woman has to be strong enough to be able to pick you up, man, when life has gotten the best of you. And maybe you're not at your best, but you got a woman on your side that, come on now, you got to have a strong woman. You don't want a weak woman. You don't just want a woman that's looking good. and popping gum and emotionally fragile and weak and no sense of self-identity and intimidated by every little thing, every wind that blows and all that kind of thing. There she's gone. You got to have a strong woman. And in verse 18 says, she perceiveth that her merchandise is good, and her candle goeth not out by night. Speaking again, her candle not going out, speaks again to her diligence. And, she's not a lazy woman, but it says she perceiveth that her merchandise is good. She knows within herself. See, this woman is self-assured. She knows within herself that what she brings to the table is of value. So she, this kind of woman to a lesser man, to a man that doesn't qualify, may come across as an arrogant, conceited woman, when the reality is she's just a confident, self-assured woman. She knows what she's working with, Nikki. She knows that what she's working with is of the highest value. So because she perceives that her merchandise is good, watch this, she does not allow anybody to downsize or slash her prices. She's going to get what she deserves and is worth. She demands it, in fact, because she knows that what she's bringing to the table is good. And verse 19 says, she layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. Again, you see that she's hands-on. And any real visionary, my brother said, I need her. I need her. I know you do, brother. I got one. You need one in your life, I promise you. Big thighs and pretty eyes and long hair and wide hips and small waist. All that's beautiful. I ain't got no problem with that. But when you get in the middle of life and you fighting for vision and you trying to make some things happen and life happens, you got to have the right woman. You don't want to be a king sitting on a throne and the kingdom is in war, and you don't have a queen that's strong enough to leave on the throne to run the kingdom until you get back. And a lot of brothers are choosing women that are nothing more than ornaments. You don't need an ornament. This is not a Christmas tree we're trying to produce here. You need a queen. You need a queen. Every man needs a queen. Now, if you ain't no man, you don't need what I'm talking about. Now, watch this here. Watch this. And then the Bible says in verse 20, she stretcheth out her hand, and I'm reading from Proverbs 31. It says in verse 20, she stretcheth out her hand to the poor, yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. Now that's interesting, because watch this. Though this woman is so powerful and resourceful, and though she has so much, and she's married to a king, a powerful man, she yet has compassion on the poor. You need a woman with heart. You need a woman with heart. You don't need a woman that's entitled. You need a woman with heart. Hold on one second, y'all. You need a woman with heart. A woman that does not see herself as more important, but a woman that can, watch this, she can dine with kings and queens, and then at the same time hang out with those that are in the gutter, and hang out with them so as to be able to pick them up and pull them up out of it. You don't need a woman that's walking around with her nose in the air. You need a woman whose feet are firmly on the ground. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor, yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. Verse 21 says, she is, verse 21 says, she is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She's prepared. She's prepared. Read this in the Amplified or some, version that's more modern. I just read the King James Version, I guess, because I'm old school. Where did I leave off? She's not afraid of the snow for her household. For all her household are clothed with scarlet. She's not afraid of changing seasons. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Now we get into some of the things that, are important. But this is where most brothers start. The Bible's not talking about her clothing and what she's wearing. See, most brothers start over here in 22. And you miss all of those character issues that we just read. You start with how she dressed and how she's dressed and how she looks. But the beauty is that the Bible shows us all of these inequalities and these strengths in this woman. But at the same time, it shows us that she takes care of herself. She's not a woman that's going to let herself, go, because she understands that her man has a need to see something visually, and he should find what he's looking for in her. It says that she makes herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. She's dressed well. Verse 23 says, her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. I believe 22 and 23 go together. She has to dress well because she represents him. The greatest representation of a man from a social perspective is the way his wife and his children look. So she's not a woman that's going to let herself go and run up and down the streets of the city looking any kind of way, because she understands that she represents a great man. Her husband is known in the gates. That means he's sitting among those who are in power. The gates speak of power. That would be Washington, D.C., City Hall, state capitol. Her husband is known where the power brokers are. So she makes herself representative of the man she represents. Verse 24, she maketh fine linen and selleth it. There we see she's in business. She's in the business of what? She's a capitalist. She's in the business of making money. And delivereth girdles unto the merchant. She's doing business. Strength and honor are her clothing. This woman is clothed with strength and honor. You're not going to be able to play with this woman. So you need to marry a strong, honorable woman. There's a strength that a woman can possess, that when she goes out into the street, men won't even play with her, because they can discern the strength and the honor in her. She's not a loose, silly woman that's toyed with. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom. I think every brother should read Proverbs 31 before he, even begins to think about a woman. She openeth her mouth with wisdom. Now, right there, verse 26 would disqualify most of the women most brothers are dealing with. When they open their mouth, foolishness pours out. You look at all of these reality shows. Look at these women, man. Listen to the stuff these women talk. Look at the foolish talk they put out. Look at the language they use. Whoever saw, women using the kind of language these women are using on television today. Look at the young women running up and down the street. Listen to the language they use. Man, the woman that will qualify to be your queen, when she opens her mouth with wisdom. Wisdom. And then look what it says. And in her tongue is the law of kindness. She's not a woman that's just running off at the mouth and hurting people with her words. She's a woman who opens her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She doesn't use her words to make people feel bad. And I would suggest this to any man. If you have a woman that uses her words to tear you down, she is certainly not your wife. Your would-be wife is a woman that speaks wisely. Sometimes they open their mouth and they show their lack of maturity. So far away from me, I can't see it. You are correct. Your would-be wife is not going to tear you down when she opens her mouth. When she opens her mouth, wisdom is going to come out. You may not always agree with what she's saying, but when you pause and you stop and think about it, many days you'll say, that girl is right. That's some wise stuff she put out there. But in her tongue is the law of kindness. She's always trying to build you up. She's always trying to make you, she's always taking people, man, those that would feel like they're less than. She brings them into her circle and she makes them feel like they are equal because she's a queen. Queens sit on the throne to make everybody around them feel, as though this is your throne. They include everybody. But when you have a woman that lacks these qualities, you can tell by the moment she opens her mouth. And I suggest to any man, listen to what a woman is saying. Her words and the way she says them is the truest portrait of her heart. Don't get carried away with how fine she is. Don't get carried away with that. If she opens her mouth and there's a whole lot of stupid stuff come out and she's cussing and she's bitter and angry, look at how she handles, watch this. This is for the brothers. Look at how she handles waitresses and waiters. If she talks down and abuses those that are serving her, you don't want to go too far with her. You don't want to go too far with her. She'll misrepresent you in the future. And verse 27 says, she looketh well to the ways of her household and eateth not the bread of idleness. There it is again. Talks about how she's not a lazy woman, but she looks well to the ways of her household. With everything that's going on in her life, buying and selling, taking care of the poor, running staffs, and all that kind of thing, the Bible says she looks well to the ways of her household. That's powerful. It means what? This is a woman of priorities and balance. Doesn't matter what she has going on, she's going to take care of her household because her what? Household is the foundation of everything. She's not going to let her household fall apart trying to do this or trying to do that. No. She's going to take care of her household. Her children, verse 28, rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Verse 31 says, give her of the fruit of her hands and let her own works praise her in the gates. So, this is the kind of Proverbs 31 is the kind of woman that a king should choose to sit on the throne next to him. If you go back to verse 1 of Proverbs 31, it says, the words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him. What, my son, and what the son of my womb, and what the son of my vows, give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. So she's teaching her son, and he's recanting what his mom taught him. She's teaching her son how kings should live, and one of the things she's teaching him is how to choose the right woman. Brother, if you really want to go to where God has planned for you to go and predestined for you to go, you got to choose the right woman the right way. Do not choose a woman from the flesh. Do not choose a woman out of obligation, but choose a woman that has all of the qualities. Yeah, choose a woman that has all of the qualities to sit on the throne next to you. A king needs a queen, and a queen is simply a king in a dress, the female gender. She has all of his attributes, his tendencies, his sense of dominion. She's just a woman, but she's designed to sit next to a king. So I hope this has helped somebody today. I want you to know I love you, and I hope that this, those of you who know men, please share this with them. Tell them to watch this. I believe it'll help them. Those that are trying to make choices about women and what have you, send this to them. And just know I love you all.